Welcome to Mechs, Myth, and Magic, episode 4. We just got done with the Coliseum Comics Roadshow, where they are doing some warehouse cleaning, if I'm correct. And one of us got a huge haul. It's not the person talking right now. I am Tony Avila, and joining me is my good friend
Dante from DanteDreams.com. And we are with, what's our podcast?
What do you mean? The name of our podcast? Mechs, Myth, and Magic?
There you go. That's us.
I'm pretty sure I said that already.
Mm.
But regardless of so, pardon me, I'm suffering from a little bit of a food coma. We had some pizza just now.
Yeah, we're slow.
Yeah. So Dante, tell me, of the things you got today, what most excites you?
The board games. I'm really looking forward to playing Game of Thrones Risk. And actually, the Black Reach 40K board game. That looks really cool, too. That looks fun. And I got a bunch of cool figures, so I don't know.
So let's do a little bit of a dive here, because I know absolutely nothing about the 40K, other than it's just usually called 40K, and it's got what looks like 50s style mecha armor.
Yeah, well, I guess it's 70s, 80s. It's a British property by Games Workshop. And there's two kinds of Warhammer. There's Warhammer where it's fantasy, and then there's Warhammer 40K, 40,000 years in the future. And it's a grim, dark future. That's how they like to describe it, grim, dark, right? In the 80s, it started out as these space marines in giant armor. They were giants. They had giant pauldrons. That's what I think they trademarked, the pauldrons. You know, the big shoulder armor. And it is expanded. They have a faction for almost everything. They have a faction that looks like anime. They have a faction that looks like elves, space elves. They've got orcs in space. And so 40K, it started out as a war game. You know, you have a bunch of pieces, an army on the ground, and you fought another player, right? And I think you roll dice for initiative, and they got like certain distances where your weapons are ranged. I've actually never played any of the Warhammer war games. I've never played a war game, but I love the lore. They've got great lore. So the 40K universe, far in the future, there's a godlike emperor of mankind that has spread his people out amongst the galaxy, because I think there was a big space empire, and then they were separated by the warp, and so humanity is spread out to all over the galaxy, and they're separated, and the god emperor is trying to reunite them, and then they run into all kinds of craziness, like chaos demons and space demons that are trying to possess them, and space elves and all that kind of stuff. But basically, it was a war game, and it has a great fiction behind it. It is basically, it's British, so it's got that British feel, but it's pretty much like almost gothic. It's like gothic, and it's kind of like almost like Catholic Mecca, because their spaceships look like giant cathedrals, and their architecture also similar. And then there's a lot of iconography that is like, like in Catholicism, it's like a flaming heart. In Warhammer 40K, it's like the eagle, the aquila, and the skull. And so, yeah, I can make that comparison. I mean, yeah, it's like Catholics in space. It seems like, in a good way.
In space.
Grimdark. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Grimdark. So that's my take on 40K. Like I said, I've never played it. I've read a couple of the novels. Well, I've started reading some of the novels. So where I really fell in love with 40K was back in the early 90s. A friend of mine brought home a Chaos source book, one for the fantasy and one for 40K. And the Horus Heresy was like a page and a half of the fall of one of the great space knights. He was a Primarch. He was one of the larger, whatever, like, he was a boss, a general, right? And it was like the fall of Lucifer, right? It was very similar, or the fall of man, and it was like just a page and a half. So come to the modern day today, there's like 20 novels on the Horus Heresy. It was just a page and a half. Anyways, it was good. It was good, and the monsters are really good. The chaos demons are like 4, I think, different kinds, and you know they're really demonic. You know, it was really metal. So they're good. They're good monsters. It's influenced my fiction quite a bit, actually. So,
That's intense, man. Okay, so Catholics in space.
kinda, yeah.
I think the only thing that I was really familiar with, aside from the fact that apparently Henry Cavill is a big Warhammer fan, is when they travel interstellar, they
Go into a
travel
different
through hell.
dimension. Yeah, that's the warp.
That's what the warp is. Okay, that
It's
makes
very
sense.
similar to. Have you ever seen Event Horizon?
Yes,
Yeah. So pretty much that's how they travel.
that is disturbing.
So
to
every
say
time,
the least.
every time they want to do faster than light travel, there's like a percentage that you will be possessed by demons or attacked or
Wow.
something like that. Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Man,
Yeah. But so in my mind's eye, when I think of 40K, I think of like a hill with a bunch of space marines, some with helmets, some without, totally metal, like Metalocalypse or whatever,
Yeah.
long hair, people screaming, "Ah!" Probably in British.
wow.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Man, that is. I don't know how quite to make that in my head. I've seen a lot of the art. I have, and it is. It's pretty cool to look at, but it does have that gothic, almost like hopeless, but not really wanting hope overtone of
Grim,
just
dark.
Like,
That's how
yeah,
they love to
man.
describe it.
It is. It is. I'm not sure I can do with that much grim dark in my life, to be honest.
You know, I would not want to live in the 40K universe for sure. But then again, I wouldn't want to live in the Avengers MCU either, or especially the comic book. You don't know. I mean, most of these fictional, they're interesting, but you wouldn't want to live there.
Yeah, man. Speaking of places you wouldn't want to live,
Oh no! What?
I don't know why it just popped into my head, but so current events, there's things going on right now, and I text messaged you earlier this week that I don't know if it's true or not. I'll start by saying that
It's definitely propaganda.
it's probably definitely propaganda, but Russia moved into Ukraine this past week.
Invaded.
Yes, invaded. And there have been some pretty interesting stories coming out of that area. One of them is this fighter pilot. Day one, they were saying, it was like every major news outlet was saying that there were reports of. So none of them actually had the story. It was just, there are reports of a fighter pilot that downed 6 Russian aircraft in the first day of this invasion.
So I don't know how much of it is official, but there is video of aircraft being blown up out of the sky, pilots landing in lakes, of MiG-19s flying around Kyiv.
Yeah, MiG-29s.
MiG-29.
So, from my understanding, the Ukrainian Air Force is using MiG-29s and Su-35s. At least I've seen a couple of Su-35s with art on it. I don't know if they were actual, if it was like a photoshopped image or if it was real. A lot of the Russian military is using Su-35s and Su-25s,
Those
which is
are-
a bomber variant. It was
tech.
kind of the competitive model against the United States Air Force's A-10.
Really?
Yeah, the Su-25 is one of those where it was meant for
You know
ground
what?
warfare.
The Su-25 to me looks like the Eurofighter or the the Eurofighter, I think it was called. Anyways, yeah. But
So we may be thinking of 2 different aircraft.
so the Su-25 is not a fighter jet. It's
yeah,
more of
it's
an
got the
attack craft.
long wings out to
It almost
the
looks like a
side.
Harrier.
Almost looks like a Harrier
With 2 jet pods
with
underneath.
U-2 wings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
U-2 wings. Oh, okay. So the MiG-29, it's an older craft. It's probably equivalent to our F-15.
It is a Soviet era aircraft, yeah. And I would actually say it's more equivalent to the F-18
You think so?
Yeah. So I think when you put anything up against the F-15, you kind of run into these issues of, is it fast enough, and can it carry as much firepower? Because the F-15 is kind of the United States military's hard hitter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where the F-22 is our, you can't shoot what you can't see,
Mm-hmm.
the ghost in the sky.
Yeah.
The
Bleeding edge technology.
Yeah, you know, and
So this is how I think about the fighters. I think, okay, so our generation of F-14 and F-15 were made because the Americans, we were scared of something. What was the Foxbat? The Foxbat? I can't remember which MiG that was.
Yeah.
So it looks
the
like...
MiG-31, I want to say.
It looks... The MiG... Whatever the Foxbat is, it looks like the Wish version of the F-15.
I believe it's the other way around.
No. So it looks like an ugly F-15 because it came first, and our F-15 and our F-14 copied it, right? Because they were afraid. They were like, we have to put bajillions of dollars to combat the Foxbat.
I wouldn't go as far as to say that the F-14 and the F-15 copied it.
Well, no, they didn't copy it.
Yeah,
They
there's
were
a similar design in the fact that you have the fuselage and then these giant air intakes.
I'm not
on the
talking
side.
about the design. They do kind of have a
Similar design.
yeah. You want to take a break?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay, so the MiG-25, the Foxbat, came out in the 60s. It was an interceptor, to catch bombers, right?
Did you look this all up?
I did.
Okay, good.
I did. Not that part.
Okay.
But it confirmed what I had read before,
Yeah.
which is, so the Americans, we were very scared of the Foxbat.
Yeah.
So we put bajillions of dollars into the F-15 and F-14 programs to make super planes.
Mm-hmm.
Come to find out afterwards that the Foxbat was not nearly as awesome as
impressive.
we should not have been. So we made these super planes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now here's the thing. I'm assuming that the MiG-29 is a response to the F-14, F-15 generation.
Yeah, it could very well possibly be. But however, I would say that it is a competitor more with the role and the capabilities of the F-18, which came out in the 70s. So entered service, I think, in the early 80s.
Yeah, I can't remember. So the MiG-29 went into service in like 82, right?
I
Early 80s?
actually couldn't tell. I'm not that familiar with ocean
aircraft. I'm pretty sure it's in 80s, so it did a lot of service time around the time of the F-14 and F-15.
Yeah.
Well, and
Yeah.
here's the thing: F-15 is still going. F-14 is retired, and
way too early.
so the F-18 eventually replaced the F-14s. I'm not really sure why they. Do you have any idea why they did that? Why the F-18s replaced the F-14s?
I don't have anybody to confirm this, and I haven't read too much on it. But first offhand answer would be the maintenance.
Yeah.
The F-14 required a lot of maintenance.
It's a more complicated aircraft,
It
variable geometry vehicle, whereas the F-18 just a fixed wing, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, man, F-14s were super built. They made a super plane because they thought they were fighting the boogeyman.
Yeah.
So they made a super gigantic airplane. If you look at it, it's a huge airplane.
Oh yeah, I've been in one.
Oh wow! So you carry a bunch of missiles in it. Has two engines. I mean, and it's just an amazing, beautiful airplane.
Yeah.
Right, but it's big.
Yeah.
It's complicated, and that's probably why they probably retired for the simpler, whatever.
Yeah.
And the F-18 probably had as much capability. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. So all this discussion to say that there's the story of a MiG-29 fighter pilot for the Ukrainians who was thought to have shot down 6 Russian aircraft on the first day of Russia invading Ukraine. So over there it's a very right here. No more water bottle, bud. My 3-year-old is here with us today, so if you hear me talking to somebody off camera, that's usually him.
Yeah, and this ace in one day which is not common.
Yeah, first in what would be like 60 years.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there hasn't been an ace. Yeah, 60 years.
Mhm.
So supposedly six kills in a day, but he's doing it in older technology, an older fighter than what the Russians have.
Older, but probably one of the most capable, solid
Probably.
fighters. I mean, there's a reason the MiG-29 is used all around the world.
True.
You know?
But it's defeating like newer planes. But
The
like
Su-35 is a more recent aircraft.
and it was probably designed to be competitive with our super planes, the F-15, F-14. You say the F-18.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a capable craft.
Yeah.
I've always thought that Russian planes are beautiful, except for the Foxbat. The Foxbat is ugly as sin.
I'm not a fan of flankers.
I love flankers, the ones that have the side-by-side seats.
No. Well, I mean, that is a flanker, yes. But essentially, most of the SU series has that giant pod at the rear end.
Yeah. That's,
And, the 25, the 35, the 31, I want to say as well.
I
the
think
37.
I'm a huge fan of I believe it's the SU-35. That's the one that has side-by-side option, right?
No. You're talking about the fullback. I believe that's like the 34 or the 32.
It's hot, whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's good.
It's an interesting airplane.
That's like straight up Macross
Yeah,
right there. That's Shoji Komori stuff right there.
I think
That's
the
great
only
design. They're so pretty.
the only Russian-built aircraft that I appreciate for its beauty is the MiG-29. Yeah, because it does look like a cross between the F-18 and the F-15 to me. So,
Yeah, and back to the Ghost of Kiev. How awesome is that name?
which is the name that they gave this guy. Yeah.
The Ghost of Kiev. We don't know how much of it is true, but it's most likely propaganda. But even if half of it is true, that is an awesome story. A man fighting for his homeland by foreign aggressors, bullies, pretty much. I don't know who to side with, but, it's hard not to side with the underdog, right? But, it's not like I want us to get into any wars or entanglements or whatever.
Mhm.
But here's a guy that is standing up for his country and doing, fighting incredible odds and coming out on top. Really hope this guy's still around,
Yeah.
serving his country.
If he's real. I mean, to be honest, I don't think we're going to get too political on this podcast in the future, or even right now. Like, I'm trying to avoid a lot of it, but there is a conflict going on, and from this conflict, we've gotten some pretty interesting stories about, there's the Ghost of Kiev, and then these people on Snake Island, and we're getting some pretty interesting stories about human beings standing up for what they believe in. So,
standing up for their existence because some foreign country is
Mhm.
just trying to roll them over.
Mm-hmm. So,
That's pretty crazy. I wouldn't want Russia invading my country.
yeah.
So, here's to you, Ghost of Kiev.
Yeah.
Come to Orlando, I'll buy you a drink.
You might get more than that. So, I think, thinking about a lot of that just reminds me of how many times, or how often science fiction tends to perpetuate reality in some of the most ingenious ways. I mean, you look back at Star Wars, and it's really a allegory for the light and the dark in the setting of, us just coming out of the Vietnam War.
Mm-hmm.
And I think George Lucas really wanted to say something about, hey, the little guy versus the big guy, And then you even look as far recently as the movie Elysium, where, in years past, we've
Kind
done
of
a
like
lot
a social commentary.
Yeah, a lot on the current, I would almost call it, we don't have a caste system in the U.S., but there is this idea of there are some that have more than others, and regardless of if you believe that a person should work more for the things that they get, or if you believe that, it's another person's responsibility to take care of their neighbor, in the end, there is this disposition between people of, the have and the have-nots. And biblically, we're, at least between you and I, we profess to be disciples of Christ, which means that we willingly look after our neighbor. We have a heart that the individual should make the choice to look to their neighbor and see how they can help. And there's so many different science fiction stories that are coming to my mind that are like, man, I kind of want to explore the geopolitical context of what a lot of this stuff was made in, Star Wars, is one of the easiest because it's so well documented. There have been so many things made about Star Wars. But I kind of want to look into some of the more some of the stuff that's still big, but not as in the forefront of the zeitgeist of pop culture. You know what I mean?
You just said a bunch of words, and then you went into politics and religion, which are the big, I don't know.
Yeah.
You have to remember about Star Wars, so we want to think about it as this big, mythological thing. It was a Flash Gordon fan fiction.
Oh yeah.
It was from that. Yes, it is about good and evil. Yes, it was about the Vietnam War. Those were Lucas's politics. It's funny. You get a lot of people, like a lot of the. I'm sure. I am convinced that they're Chinese robots or Russian bots. All right, they're talking bad about anything Star Wars. Okay, but there are a lot of people that are saying, "Oh, Star Wars has gone woke." I'm sorry, guys. Star Wars was always woke. Okay, it was about the rebels,
debatable.
The Viet Cong, against the evil empire, America. Yeah.
Depends on your definition of woke. We're not going to get too much into that because apparently talking about Star Wars on the internet is like tossing a grenade into a 4x4 room. It just destroys and rips people apart.
Let's save that one for another day.
Yeah, because but I still really want to get into my Last Jedi thoughts at some point.
Okay.
With the food coma, I don't think I'm ready to do that today, but I'm going to keep teasing it.
All right. I definitely want to talk about The Last Jedi. Rian Johnson. I want to talk about stuff. I'm glad that our producer doesn't have a mic because he has some strange opinions about things. But anyways,
we'll make sure to include Eves on that one because he definitely gives he gives the opposite approach
on that day if he doesn't want to use his mic and talk because he's okay. Yes. Yeah. We'll let him talk.
He can be the
he didn't want to talk today,
side
so he
to
unplugged
you
his
and
mic.
I. So, what I will talk about today is Attack on Titan. So I was really into anime through high school and kind of the earlier parts of college.
It went sideways. If you had a mic, you could talk to us.
And
that's on you, bro.
I was really into Yu Yu Hakusho, which is a anime about a ghost detective. Super into the mecha stuff.
Supernatural detective, right?
Well, yes.
Oh, you said ghost detective, right?
Yeah, technically it's called the Ghost Files.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. So, Yu Yu Hakusho, the Ghost Files. Anyway, got really into Gundam.
I watched one episode of Yu Yu Hakusho.
Oh man, you should do it. You should go through it. It to me, it was like the predecessor to Dragon Ball Z.
Oh.
Where Dragon Ball Z, I got into after Yu Yu Hakusho, which is oddly weird because I remember watching Dragon Ball Z. I just was never a fan of it. But that's where I got my tournament anime vibe from was Yu Yu Hakusho. After that, there's tournament anime just kind of opened up to me. So, but I also got into Gundam Wing, and I kept a pretty narrow mind anime until recently, and my sister-in-law was like, "You gotta watch Attack on Titan. You gotta watch Attack on Titan."
Oh yeah.
I was like, "All right, fine."
She's
I
such
had
a
gotten
nerd.
through the first
She's such a
three.
nerd. This is to you, Callie. Nerd.
Yeah. So I had gotten through the first 3 or 4 episodes. I think I even finished the first season and just blew through it without ever while doing laundry. Wasn't really paying attention. And so I decided I was going to commit. And man, if there isn't a show that I have had a deeper love-hate relationship than this, I don't know what it would be, because this show is thrilling. It pulls you in. It is bloody.
Gore, violent.
It is pretty. What would be the word? It does tend to play with your emotions a lot, and at the same time, like. So one of my biggest problems with anime, and this may be because it happens a lot in anime. It just may be like a cultural thing, which I'm okay with. It's just, you know, I it kind of throws me through a loop, and I lose focus and interest sometimes. Is monologues. I can't stand when characters talk to each other in the middle of a fight. I don't like it. You know, and it happens in Gundam, it happens in Yu Yu Hakusho, it happens in every anime that you'll ever watch. Period.
Did that happen in Cowboy Bebop? Was there any like monologuing in Cowboy Bebop?
Yeah, there were a couple times.
Yeah, where?
I can't remember exactly where they are.
I don't know what he's saying.
Spike's first meeting in the cathedral. Yeah.
No, that's
Is it in the middle of a fight though? Yeah. Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any long speeches though.
Hey, if it's more than 3 words, it's a long speech to me in the middle of a fight.
Well,
Stop.
You need to.
Less talky, more fighty.
You need to read some more Shakespeare, buddy.
I mean, I understand the drama. I get it. I'm. It throws me out because it's kind of like, why are the two of you talking to each other?
Dude, that's
at this moment. Yeah, I know.
That's the style.
I kind of look past it a lot. There's a bit of that in Attack on Titan that I was like, all right, come on, let's get through it. But I think one of the things is I read a meme that said that Attack on Titan was basically a biological mecha.
Yeah, that's one of the takes I
changed
took.
my whole approach to this show.
That's one of my takes, like early on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and I think that's even before it. Well, no, I probably knew about it then.
At the time of recording this podcast, I have finished up to the episode 2,000 Years from You or something like that.
You know what?
I'm not going to get into spoilers.
Yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about,
intense.
But it sounds pretty spoilery.
Yeah, it's gotten pretty intense. It's gotten to the point where I started out not liking the anime because it played with my emotions. Then I got really into the anime, and then I thought the protagonist was a little
whiny?
Not just whiny, but like he couldn't seem to be competent ever. Like everything he attempted, he would just.
Sounds about right for that sounds about right. Mm-hmm. Sounds about right for an anime protagonist. I'm thinking of the Ava kid with Shinji.
Yeah, there's a moment where you think this kid's gonna win, and then he gets one-upped again, and it's just like Eren never really wins. And then I realized this whole show is about when people themselves become monsters, not in a physical sense or an immediate sense, but in a metaphorical sense. And if you watch Eren's curve through this whole show,
does he become a villain? Is that what you're telling me?
I'm saying that this kid is getting to the point.
You guys have totally just spoiled it.
I didn't say anything that spoiled anything. Listen to me here, Dante. Listen to me here.
No, he just spoiled it.
Listen to me here. If you watch season 1, season 2, and even season 3, and you haven't watched season 4 yet, everything that I'm about to say should come as no surprise because it's already happening. All right, I'm not getting into what happened in season 4, but if you look at those seasons, Eren is a man compelled by revenge, 100%. And if you look at the difference between Eren at the end of season 3, when he's like, "Okay, we're going across the sea," to Eren at the beginning of season 1.
For me. I haven't got there.
Well, all right, from season 1 to season 3, he has very much been a man compelled by revenge. Even from the very first episode, Titan meets his mom, and he's like, "I'm going to kill them all." And this whole series has been about what does a man whose thought process is, I'm going to kill them all, what does that do to a guy after 4, 5, 6 years?
Let's back off and be more general because I do want to enjoy the series at some time. I'm somewhere in season 3, I don't know where. Mm-hmm. I try to play catch up and I'm lost in there somewhere. Okay. So, I mean, I'm a huge anime fan. I am a nerd, so I use that nerd word earlier. It was not in meanness. We're all nerds here, right? But yeah, let's go back to like what it is. It's a great show. You know?
It is a great
It's
show.
a unique,
I didn't have a complete understanding from it, and I think that's why I was so upset with it, though. I thought it was one thing, and it turns out the show has been something else the entire time, and I was very... It helped me enjoy the show more, because up to that, I was complaining to my sister-in-law, like, why are you making me watch this garbage? I do not enjoy this. Why am I doing this? And the reason why is because I didn't understand where we were going, you know? Hopefully, I didn't...
just a little.
Put the rags on you, but trust me when I say there is still plenty to discover to the point
I'm
where...
looking forward to watching it some more, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's probably one of the most popular animes, that I've watched lately. There's so many new animes out there that I totally not caught.
Mm-hmm.
But that one is right there. It's like one of the ones I'm still into. You can kind of call me an anime fan. I'm mostly old school anime. I was talking to someone today. I was like, "What's your favorite anime?" And she listed off a bunch of stuff that was like, "Yep, nope, don't know any of them."
Yeah.
Although today we got to talk to a voice actor. Our producer Eves got to interview.
Super jazzed about that.
Eric Vale. Great interview. He's done. What are some of the things he's done? One Piece. Fire Force.
He was the voice of Trunks in DBZ.
Trunks.
He was in
Full Metal Alchemist. Yeah. A lot of stuff. Yeah. So I got to meet him Friday. Eves interviewed him today, and hopefully we'll get that segment up.
Yeah, hopefully soon. So I wasn't able to do that. I was digging through some of the piles of toys, trying to find Spider-Man stuff with Ronan. So that was a lot of fun.
You know what? I'm getting this itch to go home and just rip open toys. Rip open toys!
Hopefully you guys will see Dante's Hall video soon because he got a lot of toys. Yeah, he got a lot of toys.
Yeah. I've been collecting that 1/18th scale, that G.I. Joe vintage Star Wars scale. And so when I'm really inspired by Empire Toy Works, his dioramas.
Yeah.
And so whenever I can get some figures to kind of fill out the universe, I'm trying to do that. But I even have a standee at home with a bunch of unopened figures.
When you say 1/18th, is that the 3 3/4 inch?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So I know I haven't. I'm not familiar with the scales, but I am familiar with the sizing a bit.
Yeah.
So
G.I. Joe scale.
G.I. Joe scale, yeah.
The 80s G.I. Joe scale.
Man, I remember like bursting the rubber bands to the abdomens of so many of those.
Yep, me too. And then when we discovered that those broke, he's like, you could customize them. You could put different guys together, right?
Oh man, yeah.
Yeah, but it was always just like, how do you get an O-ring to fit? What we used to do when we were kids, we'd get rubber bands, and we just bend them over so they become smaller.
Yeah.
Just flip them over, and then we'd use rubber bands as the O-ring.
Nice.
It was a hassle.
Real quick, what was your favorite G.I. Joe figure?
Snake Eyes.
Snake Eyes?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Snake Eyes.
Again, because I'm all about the mecha stuff, I don't even remember what his name was, but one of them was a fighter pilot. And
Wild Weasel?
Maybe that was it.
Was he a Cobra guy?
No, he was a Joe.
Oh, was he in a spacesuit?
No, he had like full fighter pilot getup going on with the mask and everything.
Was he was he kind of reddish with pads and like a map on his leg?
He was green. Again, my G.I. Joes...
green with green pads, but he had like some orange highlights.
Maybe. I don't remember there being much orange.
I think the pilot of their stealth fighter was like that.
Okay, yeah, that may be it. All I remember is that, just for context, my G.I. Joes would have been like from 1990 to 1995. That would have been like the time period that most of mine came from, although I didn't really start getting Joes until maybe 92, 93.
I think I got my first Joe in 83. Maybe 82. No, 82, yeah.
Okay.
When they were like $3 off the shelf, right? And I think it was like Grunt or Rock and Roll, right? And there was just a standard dude in the green fatigues, and they changed the face a little bit.
Yeah.
And so I had Star Wars figures before that. like, these guys are better than Star Wars figures. Their knees bend, and their
Oh, yeah.
elbows bend, and
More
then,
points of articulation.
and then eventually they got the combat, the kung fu grips, whatever, so they could hold their rifles. Yeah, but even back then, I was all about the vehicles. I always wanted a tank. Never had one of the tanks, right?
Yeah.
But I remember one of my favorite memories. I made a post on this a while back. One of my favorite memories, maybe 85, 86. My mom, I had 2 siblings, right? But one day my mom takes me out, just me, right? We ate Mexican.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Mexican cuisine. This was cold Chicago. I can't even remember when it was, though, what part of the year it was. But my mom took me to the store, and she said, get whatever you want. And I got the big G.I. Joe hovercraft, the whale, the killer whale, I think it was called. And I'd been wanting that for a while. And I don't know why my mom spoiled me that day. We had just a special time together.
Oh, that's
and
a
then
great
she
memory.
gave me this gigantic toy. It's like, it was the best. I love that thing. Now, if you try to buy a whale today, a killer whale, usually they're incomplete, and incomplete going for like 400.
Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
That's pretty nuts. Thank you for sharing that with me, Dante. That is a pretty good memory. So
I like that memory too.
yeah, man. The only thing I can think of that correlates with that is like whenever I would beg my parents to take me to a toy store, the only thing I ever sought after was the Action Fleet Star Wars ships.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So for
Those are great.
yeah, so Marker Machines, if you remember the dude that talked like a million miles a minute, released a scale of Star Wars and Vietnam.
Vietnam?
Dude, you can look this up. It was nuts. I had to search the internet for years to find this thing. So
Action
there was Star Wars, Vietnam era aircraft and tanks, and then they did a small alien release too, with the gunship.
Shut up. What with the landing craft?
Yeah.
The Cheyenne?
Yeah. So
That's crazy.
They were a bit bigger,
That
and they had a figure that was maybe about an inch tall, that you could fit in the little pilot seats. And I mean, the ships were super detailed, and that was the best part. So I remember getting tons of Star Wars ships, TIE Interceptors, X-wings. I had so many X-wings.
A-wings.
I would break so many of them and just go back to the store and get a new one.
Really?
Yeah, bro. That was like, I didn't even realize if I had Luke or Wedge or who. I was always getting X-wings because my X-wing broke in some way.
I can't even remember. So I had a good amount of those too, and not when I was a child. That was college, but I was like,
That was childhood for me.
I was 20 or something, 22 or something like that. Anyways, but yeah, I had a few of those X-wings. I know I had an A-wing. I think I had a green A-wing.
Nice.
It was like a different.
Yeah.
It wasn't the standard color.
Mhm.
It was like, I don't know what this is all about, but I like it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I ever had a B-wing.
I had a B-wing
I
at
don't
one
think I had a
point.
B-wing.
The B-wing was legit. It's
Yeah.
one of my favorite
I'm all about
craft in Star
vehicles,
Wars.
man. I'm all about vehicles. And now, they still have certain miniature
Yeah.
like small ships, like Hot Wheels size ships.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, man, I'm an adult. I want those big toys.
Yeah, I hear
Give me the walkers, man. You know?
So, and I believe the limited Vietnam release
Uh-huh.
was the F4 Phantom
Uh-huh.
and the MiG-19, I want to say. Silver one with the swept-back wings.
Is
Would have
it-
been one of the ones that was comparatively with the
The one-
F-86.
Did it have the saber?
Yeah, it
So
looked
it
like
had-
the Saber.
So it had an intake in the front.
Yeah. So that
Ah.
one. And I want to say the A4 was also along that line.
Man.
So
I love
and
the
it is
A4.
so hard, like just to find the
Look,
pictures of these things.
Let me tell you something
hard.
I heard about the A4. I read this in a book. I don't know if it's factual or whatever, but A4s in Vietnam, apparently they used to do their approach when they're dropping their bombs. They'd go upside down so they could see what they were shooting, and then they'd flip over and then drop it. So
Oh,
they'd
wow.
be diving upside down, inverted. I don't
That's
know.
something, dude.
Internet confirm this for me. I read it, so it's like burned in my brain. I don't know if it's true or not, but that's crazy, man.
Yeah,
And I heard that they used to carry nukes too.
I do believe that they were a nuclear compatible aircraft.
Mhm.
So
I mean, all you had to do is put a nuke bomb on it, right?
yeah.
Wow.
So Wow.
Like if our carriers in Vietnam had nukes, which we will never know.
Such a scary thought, dude.
Right?
Yeah. Because if you look at that fighter, it's so small.
It is.
Have you gone and visited the War Memorial Museum off of Lake Pickett in our area?
No.
Yes, there is a Vietnam War
What?
Memorial.
Let's go. They
Yeah.
have an A4 there?
They have an A4 static display. They have a Huey static display.
I was just talking to a buddy last night. We passed the B-52 by the airport, and he didn't know what it was. He's like, oh, it's like a military plane. I was like, yeah, that's a B-52 part.
Yeah, that was one of the biggest fears of the planet at one point. Because these things used to circle the globe. And
Yeah. You know, MCO, the Orlando airport, used to be a base for those B-52s.
I would imagine during the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Yeah, it was a nuke base. That's why they had landing runways long enough to accommodate 747s when they became an international airport, because they were landing B-52s.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's pretty intense.
And that's why we
got to hit some
B-54.
air shows this year.
Yes, please. Yes, I'm totally game. Hey, but with my buddy, I want to take him to B-52 Park, but I also want to visit the F4.
Off of 408.
408.
Yeah.
I love them, man. Two jet planes of the 70s, 80s, and they're in OD green, like woodland camo.
Yeah.
Dude, that is my jam right there. I'm all about OD green and woodland camo. That's my aesthetic right here.
There is also an F-15 on display, I think, out in DeLand.
Let's go.
Yeah, that one is a little more worse for wear. The last time I saw it, the paint was very much coming off, and it was the glass was all fogged out. It looked like it needed a touch up, but it was still super cool to see an F-15 like that.
So, since we're talking about jet planes, and we've been talking about it a little bit.
Yeah.
So at Old Town here in Orlando, South Orlando, on 192, at one point they had an F-104 Starfighter.
Nice.
It was just on. It was just on the ground. You could climb. I think you had to pay like $1 or $5 to climb into the cockpit.
Yeah.
And this was back when I was in college, when I was much leaner.
Yeah.
But I remember getting in that thing. It's like, how do you fit in this little thing? It was so tight, so uncomfortably tight, so claustrophobic.
If you ever have the chance, I would highly recommend that you go out to Pensacola. Maybe first weekend of November, because that is the Blue Angels homecoming show. Ooh. They finished their season, air show season, with their last show being back in Pensacola for a big blowout. And the Naval Air Station that they do it at has the Naval Air Museum. Ooh. It's got a ton of aircraft in there. F-14s. That's where I got to sit in F-14. I got to climb into the air duct of an F-14 there.
Oh.
Not sure if I was allowed to do that or not, but there wasn't anything saying that I couldn't, so I did. You can sit in the compact. So they have the full thing there, and then they have the front fuselage cut off and set lower so that you can just hop into it, right next to the aircraft. So I've got my profile picture on Facebook is me and my wife in the back seat. My wife is in the back seat. I'm in the front seat of the F-14.
Nice.
They also have the A4 Intruder, or not the A4 Intruder, the A6. A6 Intruder, the F4,
Phantom.
Yeah, Phantom, and another. There's another aircraft. Actually, you know, I don't think the A6 Intruder is. Maybe the A8 Intruder. I think the A6 is the.
Either the A6 or the A8 has the big mouth underneath.
That's the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah, it's a Corsair.
The Corsair 2.
I think.
Yeah. Named after the Corsair of World War II.
Oh yeah.
They have the cockpit for that one as well, and it's
dude,
really cool to see.
That, dude.
Yeah, you got to go visit that museum if you're an aviation fanatic to any degree, because there is a ton of stuff in there. Actually, one of the ones that I've been really wanting to go out to, there's a huge air show here or near us in Lakeland called Sun and Fun.
Sun and Fun. When is that?
That's usually in April. So
it's coming up soon, huh?
Yeah. And right next to it, they have the Fantasy of Flight.
Yeah.
And that is the largest private collection of aircraft, I believe.
Is it mostly World War II? Is it mostly World War II airplanes, or is it modern?
There's World War II, World War I. I want want to say there's some jet aircraft.
Yeah, I've seen
I've
that on
never
my
been,
drive.
but I really want to go. I passed by it quite a few times. So, yeah, if you're an aviation fanatic, Florida's got a lot of
All
good
the
stuff for you.
military, man. All the military. I love
Yeah.
jets. I love tanks.
I'm pretty
too.
sure every state has like their little area where there tends to be more aviation stuff than other parts of the state. So
You know, Florida's a really highly militarized state. You know, we got a lot of bases.
I've never really thought about it, but yeah, it is.
I mean, South, East, West Coast. You know, Jacksonville.
Yeah.
You know, I'm pretty sure there are Navy SEALs up in Jacksonville, and
There is a Navy SEAL museum because I see the sign for it on the Turk Pike all the time.
I don't know if it's one of their main places, but I've heard of Navy SEALs being there. But you know what? I was listening to some podcast where they said they had a special forces detachment somewhere in Central Florida, like a training something in Central.
Wouldn't surprise me.
I can't remember when.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, we even have a Marine base in Orlando. The Naval Training Center used to be here. They still store a lot of their. Maybe I shouldn't be talking about this stuff. Loose lip sync ships. Okay, I'm gonna shut up.
The Department of Censorship is going to be knocking on our door soon.
I'm a patriot, so I'm gonna do my part.
Yeah.
It's funny where our subjects went from today.
Yeah, we excuse us, but we are a bit all over the place. We just kind of set up a mic. We're like, let's get something on down.
Actually, literally, we are in a 4-star hotel next to the Orlando Convention Center. We were gonna eat fancy, but the fancy was closed, so we just got some pizzas and we're just chilling. We're just chilling here. There's some conference going on. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
But we're just having a good time, chilling out. We're afterglowing from the mini con,
The roadshow.
the roadshow, and just having fun, geeking out.
Yeah, man. I'd have to say, talking about that, my hall was a lot smaller than Dante's, and it had contributions from Dante and Eve's. But I am super excited to dive into those Nova comics again, man. So I picked up a couple of volumes of the most. I wouldn't say it's the most recent run of Nova. It was probably from about 2017, 2018.
It's pretty recent.
Yeah, and it covers.
the Kid Nova, right?
You know what? It might be even earlier than that. It might be like 13, 14, 2013, 2014. But it's it covers one of the newer people to hold the mantle of Nova. A kid named Sam Alexander, who's a son of a Mexican immigrant and a janitor in the U.S. who, I guess the dad inherited the power and the helmet.
Nova?
And then he was a part of the Nova Corps, but he was a janitor, and he'd tell his son all these stories about how awesome the Nova Corps was. And his son would be like, "Yeah, you're lying to me. I know you're a janitor at school." And then one day, his dad goes missing, and he finds the helmet that his dad used. And it's kind of like, what So that whole first run was about him trying to find his dad. What happened to his dad? It was really good. So I'm looking forward to getting back into that, man. Nova is one of my favorite superheroes.
Oh, he's your favorite.
Yeah.
He's your favorite. Hey, when do you think we're gonna get some good Nova action in the MCU?
Man, so that's hard. In 2014, I think it was 2014, we got
Guardians.
Guardians of the Galaxy. And the Nova Corps in Guardians of the Galaxy was cool, but it was nothing like what it is in the comic books. They were more presented like police of an alien planet.
Yeah.
Whereas in the comic books, they're more like the Green Lantern Corps. They're an intergalactic police force powered by this
Super brain, right?
super brain, a supercomputer that harnesses this energy called the Nova Force on their home planet. And that power is divided between hundreds of thousands of officers throughout the universe. There was a great run, I think I want to say in 2006, 2005, where the Nova from Earth, Richard Rider, wound up in the middle of a war where a lot of the Nova Corps was annihilated.
Yeah, and he got all the power.
And he was the sole...
And he was like a supernova.
Yeah.
Oh,
he was the sole inheritor of all of the Nova Force. And it drove him crazy for a little bit. He lost his mind in a couple of moments, and it was nothing but sheer power. Great run. Really cool comic book. If you're into like the star stuff, if you're into the cosmic side,
Marvel stuff.
Nova's definitely something you should check out.
Nova, Star-Lord. I remember back in the day, I was like, who's Star-Lord, man? We're the Guardian of the Galaxy. That's such a cheesy name, dude. They made those movies so good, and then they did the comics.
Yeah.
They kind of were imitating what was going on in the MCU, and it was like, this is wonderful. This is just great.
I will say I did not enjoy the aesthetic approach of those movies
Really?
to the characters.
Really?
No, I think they departed a lot.
So
The story is
the
great.
stories are great.
Yes, the
Characters
are
they
great.
imitated it a little bit. I mean, like with Star-Lord's like forming helmet.
They drew some inspiration from it, but like Star-Lord running around in a duster, to me was like so weird.
Yeah, and then they in the actual comic books, he started wearing a duster, didn't
Yeah, they had a bit of synergy, and I wasn't a fan because it again took away from the way they looked when I was reading them.
So Star-Lord in the comic books, like in the early aughts, he was wearing some sort of like
It was almost like a World War I trench uniform without the coat.
yeah, it was like a overflap jacket,
Uh-huh.
right? And he had some sort of helmet with big goggles, right?
Yeah, it looked like if you took World War I Austrian helmets and got rid of the spike, it looked like that with a gas mask on.
Yes,
it
that's
was
what it
very,
looked like.
Yeah, it was
Yes.
very like cyber steampunk almost. I know that almost sounds oxymoronic, but if you could imagine steampunk with a cyber twist to it,
Oh yeah.
that's what it came out to be, and it was really cool looking.
Dude, it reminds me of that Orlando superhero or the Orlando Masked Avenger.
We had a superhero here in the city of Orlando.
Well, yeah, he was. You know how there were a bunch of people dressing up.
Or just,
as,
I guess, a hero, a vigilante,
yeah,
should we say?
yeah. His name was like Master Awesome or something. I don't know. Like it was kind of silly, but kind of cool at the same time.
Yeah.
I'll have to find. I can't think of the name right now. Anyways, yes, we had one, and his getup kind of like because he has kind of like a World War II helmet, and sometimes he wears a mask. He has goggles with that thing.
That's cool.
Yeah. He had some sort of metal name. It was
Oh
kind of
man,
funny.
I gotta look this guy up now.
Yeah,
Give him
yeah.
a shout out on the next podcast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, I wonder if he's still active.
That'd be cool.
He's my age or older, so who knows? It's funny. There were people running around in the streets as superheroes back in the day, like maybe 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Like there was one in Seattle. I can't remember his name, but he had all this drama around him, and then it ended up. I think he's got busted for villainy or a crime or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
but he-
remember reading that.
But he was like an MMA fighter that would go out and just
Patrol the streets.
Yeah, and eventually he got into a tussle with a drunk person. It's like, of course you're gonna win, you know. Of course, if you're gonna fight a
Yeah.
drunk person, it's likely. You know, I don't know. Especially if you have a modicum of skill, but.
Yeah. So, definitely read Nova. I have, man, I don't know, dude. So we talked about Attack on Titan. Not really going to spoil it anymore. We talked about Nova. I want to make one more major leap.
All right.
I've been playing Mass Effect a lot.
Ooh, Mass Effect.
Yeah.
I love Mass Effect.
I
Which one are you doing now?
Well, I blew through the first and second game. I'm on the third game now.
You played it before?
Yeah, I played it a few times.
Are you doing the remastered now?
Yes, the
Is
legendary
it
edition.
is it all that and then some?
You know, it's really weird to play a video game that you've played so many times before because when you think back on the video games you loved from the past.
Do you imagine it looked awesome back then?
Yeah, so when I look at it now, it's just kind of like, well, that's how it looked like the first time. And it's not like the Halo anniversary where you can switch between the old graphics and the new graphics and see just how wrong you are. But Mass Effect has been like, it's been a grind this time around.
Really? You're not
Yeah.
enjoying it?
I've been enjoying it, but it's just like I find myself skipping a lot of the conversation, and maybe it's just this like time in my life where I'm like, you know, I play about 5 or 6 rounds of Halo Infinite, and I'm like, all right, let me pull through the story on Mass Effect. There's moments I enjoy, but for the most part, it's like I don't remember having to talk to this many people.
You know what I loved about Mass Effect was that the save scenes and the level changes and the cinematics. So they'd have movies in between it. So you'd be going through an elevator or something when you're changing levels or it's loading another map. But then the cinematics between action matched the scene, like the action. So it almost looked like you're playing a movie, you know, and it made it there was enough grit. There was enough grit and stuff in it that it made it like not as so it didn't have to be ultra HD because it was like film quality, right? There was like grit on it, right? Mm-hmm. But it was still beautiful. It was a great story. I played through the first one like 5 times, second one 5 or 6 times, but oddly the third one I played it once through, and I was done.
Yeah, the third one's the one I'm on now, and I'm getting that feeling. 2 has always been my favorite.
2?
Yeah.
2 was weird. 2 was weird because it was like, what had just happened? Why is everything different?
Yeah.
You know, but it was really, really well made.
Yes, it was. So.
But it's such a well-made game. So I really desperately want a KOTOR game. Like,
in the vein of Mass Effect?
Yeah.
I mean, I would play...
Because KOTOR was made by the Mass Effect people.
I would love to play that.
And then, you know, I just want a modern KOTOR. I don't want an MMO.
Yeah.
I just want...
We're getting one for the PS5, I think, soon.
Really? Star Wars
either
MMO?
late this year or next year. No, KOTOR remake.
Oh.
Yeah, unfortunately it's not coming to Xbox, so I will not play.
Not even 0?
Not that I've heard.
It's got to.
Maybe, but not that I hear. So, yeah, man. How about we wrap it up here?
Sure.
Yeah? All right. Well, thank you for joining us on the
Mechs.
Wow. I just said meth, didn't I? The Mech, Myth, and Magic podcast. Yeah. I'm still getting through that tongue twister. Earlier I said this may be episode 4. Now that I think about it, it's episode 3.
Yes.
You can find us on YouTube, Rumble, TikTok, iTunes, anywhere podcasts,
Spotify.
really. And, Spotify. Yeah. Be sure to look us up. And
give us a thumbs up. Give us 5-star, 4-star, whatever the max is.
Whatever you think we earned, to be honest.
No, just the good stuff. If you don't like us, go away. Just kidding.
Just not that one. If you got bad things to say, we don't need you.
No. We appreciate all, whatever. But hit us up. Let us know what you want us to talk about. And please like, share, and subscribe.
Yeah.
All May the force be with you.
And please.
Always.
You define your own fandom.